Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mix's Review. And in today's episode, we are talking about ID10T. Also, welcome to the live premiere of the show. So, we hope we have Dave here in chat. And yeah, please enjoy the show. There's tons of recipes that we're going to talk about today. We have Daniel's store here below me. And yeah, he's been in our previous shows, in our previous podcasts as well. He's going to jump in from time to time. Dr. Store on ATF if you want to go and check out his recipes. But yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about the first recipe for tonight. And I want to talk about cherry blossom. So I thought, it won't be a Dave or ID10T show if I don't get freaky, and this is pretty freaky, So the recipe was created in 2017 and it was done all through one flavor awesome box. So, it sounds like there was an awesome box sent every month, and then in that was some concentrate, and what he had done was just take that box of flavors and then create something out of it. I might be totally wrong, but he created this cherry belonging, and what this is 4% TFA cherry blossom PG, 1% FLV cream, 1.5 LB pink lemonade, and 5.5 LB vanilla ice cream. Okay, so the description is cherry blossom is an ingredient you generally want to use as an accent at lower as 4%, as it can be even, can be the focal point of a recipe as low as 2%. But here the high percentage is needed to make it the star and make the cherry flavor stand out in the mix. The rich ice cream pulls its floral top notes way down, but doesn't extinguish them entirely. The pink part of Liquid Barn's Pink Lemonade, which is a delightful powdered mixed pink lemonade flavor on its own, further enhances the red fruity flavor of the cherry blossom. With a little help from the FLV cream, the lemonade combines with the cherry flavor for something oddly somewhat reminiscent of a Sonic Drive-In cherry limeade cream slush, which is just their cherry limeade blended with ice and soft serve ice cream. Yeah, I like. It's for me. This is strange. It's 100% in strange land. It feels like somebody went to. I don't know who else does this, but do you actually, when you mix up your when you go to the movies, do you actually mix up your slush puppy? So it feels like a mix between a cherry slush puppy and maybe some lemonade that is also dumped in there, and like a scoop of ice cream all blended together. 100% is like that. That's what I'm getting from this. But I appreciate it because I do a similar thing when I go to Burger King and, they hand me that cup. I mix up the Coke and, the Fanta and the, whatever lemonade or Sprite they have there to try and, get this new concoction of soft drink. And it feels like this is what this is sort of like, There's also some, I don't know if this is right, but I'm getting, initially when I tasted it without reading the notes, I was, the cherry plus the lemonade reminds me a little bit of licorice, but not, 100% strong licorice, maybe like red licorice, but I know red licorice is raspberry, but that's what it kind of reminded me of. Okay. But then that sits on a bed of vanilla ice cream. This is an exciting little mix, completely different, but in a good way. I'm not a big cherry fan, but I think if you do like cherries, and I know there's some really weird things going on with the cherries that we have available, and there are not a lot of really good cherry mixes out there. Because of that, I think you should try this out. Excuse me. I think you should try it out. I gave this a lot of points on creativity. I said here a lot of random points toward creativity, but for me, because this mix was really well blended, I was getting a mix between the lime, that lemonade, and the actual ice cream. But there was a bit of a separation between the cherry and the ice cream. So I am getting, almost like a layered experience. It's not just one blended thing, melded together. There is some separation there. So yeah, for creativity, because of that complexity in the mix and it being well balanced and very creative, I'm at about a 4 out of 5 for this one.
Right. I struggled a little bit with ID10T's most recent mixes because he's getting a lot into the vape train and the less common Flavora flavors and so on. So it's difficult to find stuff where I have all the concentrates. So I went a little bit retro to probably his most highly rated mix, or at least one of his most highly rated mixes, which was his Longing honeysuckle ice cream. Just to go through the recipe, it's 1% Flavora cream, 1% FA cream fresh, 3% TFA honeysuckle, 1% Inawera Shisha vanilla, and 1.5% TFA vanilla bean ice cream. He does an absolutely stellar job of explaining what each ingredient does in the recipe, in his recipe notes on ATF. Basically, it's that the Flavora cream and the cream fresh meld together to create a sort of thick cream base that doesn't have that sour dairy note. And then he also melds the two different vanillas together from the Shisha vanilla and the vanilla bean ice cream, keeping the vanilla bean ice cream low so that he doesn't get that heavy eggy note that TFA does, because he's looking for basically an eggless American style ice cream, which is going to allow that honeysuckle top note to stand proud and to not fight with the ice cream base underneath it. In terms of the vape, I think it's working exactly as he set out to achieve in the notes. On the inhaler, I get this very bright, trebly, slightly sharp floral top note of the honeysuckle, which on the exhale gives away to that very smooth body of the creams. There are subtle hints of dairy and vanilla, but those are there to support that honeysuckle note without detracting from it. And the overall experience is this unusual top note. Honeysuckle is not one of the most popular flavors that we use in DIY, but it's got that very distinctive top note that just nestles beautifully into this neutral but not totally neutral, smooth, dense but not over rich ice cream base. Overall, there's very much a gourmet feel to the vape. As you're vaping it, you feel like it's a sort of dessert that gets served up in a 5-star restaurant or Michelin star restaurant, where it comes on an enormous plate with just a little bit of dessert, and then the rest of the plate's this very ornate drizzle of sauce. So it's got that sort of MasterChef feel to it, and it's a supremely well balanced vape. It does exactly what he set out to do. It's not an ADV for me simply because I'm not that heavily into the florals, and honeysuckle, even though it's one of the more accessible of the florals, it's still a little bit too peaky for me. It's just a little bit out of my comfort zone. So it's not something I could vape all day long, but it's certainly something I'll dip into periodically. It's a really well crafted vape. It's an interesting flavor. It does exactly what he says it does. So it's the type of thing that I'll vape for half an hour at a time, maybe every second day or every third day. And it's received dozens of 5-star ratings, and it certainly deserves that. He put a lot of thought into this. He put a lot of work into it, balancing it, coming up with the whole concept of a floral ice cream. So there's quite a risk factor. It's got a lot of novelty value to it. And for that, I think it deserves the plaudits it's received.
All right. So I've got gum eyeball. This was a recipe that he went head-to-head against Concrete River with. Unfortunately, this was the losing recipe because Concrete had a a fig, I believe it was a fig Newton recipe. But this is my favorite out of the two, so this should have won, and I think Dave knows it. So what this is those cartoon or superhero style ice creams with the bubble gum in the center, right? So I think he mentions that it's either Tweety Bird or some other yellow character, but this is the bite with the bubble gum in. So just off the top, he uses Flavora bubblegum at 2%, Flavora cream at 0.75%, Flavora lemonade at 3%, Flavora marshmallow at 0.5%, and vanilla pudding at 3.5%. So it's an all Flavora mix, which was something I was keen for to give a go because I have the Flavora stuff. And I originally gave this a 5-star. I think it's still a 5-star recipe a year later because I'm still mixing it up today. So what's nice about this is it's nice and layered. So even though he says it's the bite of the bubblegum, I get the lemonade quite up front with this bubblegum middle note and this back note of ice cream. And he used the Flavora lemonade for the lime or lemon part of the ice cream, which is quite interesting because there are other flavors that you could use for that. And he used something like a beverage to pull off that flavor, and it stood up well with Flavora cream and Flavora vanilla pudding. He mentions in his notes that Flavora vanilla pudding is a lot closer to the vanilla pudding cups or those ice cream truck bars that we think, or as an American thinks it's actual ice cream. So it doesn't have those eggy notes that you get in a gelato or a very rich, very rich cream, but it's a lot more of a vanilla light cream, light milk ice cream. So there was nothing I didn't like about the recipe. I think in improvements, now that we know a lot more about coolants, I think it would be nice to put something like WS23 in here, or Polar Ice. FA Polar Ice is quite nice for an ice cream at like quite a low one, and then you've got a lot more authentic ice cream in those terms. But it's still, to me, a 5 out of 5 recipe, and it's a great use of all the Flavora flavors.
I mixed up something that's completely way out of my normal fruity candy range. I mixed up the snickerdoodle cookie. I also mixed up the sugar cookie. So I think it's simple sugar cookie. I just had to. I mean, it's the first time I've had everything. There's always been first rule every single time I wanted to make it before. So I made that, and then I also made the snickerdoodle cookie. So his note says, a sweet cinnamon cookie for folks who like snickerdoodle cookies the way I do. Soft and buttery with about twice as much vanilla as the recipe calls for. TFA marshmallow sweetens, softens, and helps take enough of the edge of the CDS that you shake and vape this. The vanilla custard really blossoms, and everything is so much smoother after just a week's steep. So what it's got in here is 3% Capella cinnamon Danish swirl, 1% TFA marshmallow, 7% cap sugar cookie, and 4% vanilla custard, Capella vanilla custard. So this was a really, really amazing juice for me, especially as a change from all my vibrant fruits and candies and sodas and stuff. It really is a warm cinnamon Danish type of I would say dessert. I've not had the original snickerdoodle. I mean, I don't think we have them here in SA, do we? No, I don't think so.
What is it actually, Deets? What are you talking about? Like, what is
a snickerdoodle cookie? Well, the picture he's got here looks like a mix between, or maybe like a soft cinnamon cookie, a soft cookie.
So a
Soft
soft
doughy
cookie.
cookie. I'm not sure. I don't know what a. Let me hold on. Let's Google that for you. A snickerdoodle cookie. I don't know what it is, but if it is anything as close to what this is, it's flippin' delicious.
So yeah, I mean, I
It
think I
just
did
looks like a cookie, a cinnamon cookie.
cinnamon cookie. So soft cinnamon cookie, yeah.
Yeah, I will. If I would compare it to the juice, I would say it's a soft cinnamon cookie, but it might be a normal cinnamon cookie. So what I found with this, it's something completely new to me. It's very nice. It's a very the cinnamon is in a warm type of dessert way that I also found. I would actually say that's from the sugar cookie, simple sugar cookie base, or if you used simple sugar cookie as a base, that cookie is a very warm cookie with sugar on. So that's in here too. But then the cinnamon Danish brings in that doughy, cinnamony icing type of feel. It reminds me a lot of two juices, but not one or the other. I would say the best points out of what I liked from, yes, I liked loaded glazed donuts. When I started vaping, I bought the big bottles, and that's the only thing I vaped until I got sick, which was probably a bottle or two, I think. It's just that's a lot for someone who only vaped that. But I enjoyed it. So loaded glazed donuts, and then there was Drip the Hype. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. Drip the Hype. They have, I think it's a pancake cereal or something like that. Pancake cereal with syrup. Now, it's both of that in one, and it's different, but it reminds me a lot of both of that. It's a very warm type of dessert for me, and very sweet icing with that cinnamon giving it that warm feeling and sensation, almost like I'm eating a hot dessert. It is awesome. It is very, very sweet though. I did not expect it to be that sweet because I normally add sweetener to my stuff. With this one, I didn't. It it's a good dessert. It's very different to what I'm used to and awesome. I can only rate this as a 5 because this is, I mean, of two juices I thought was great, this is better than any of those two. So how can I not rate this a 5? It's delicious. And on top of that, if I vape in a room and leave and come back, it smells like there's biscuits hidden somewhere. I'm just hunting
Nice.
for a nice little treat somewhere. It's awesome juice. I love it. Well done.
Cool. So the next one that I mixed up, I know Daniel also mixed up, was Mango Blossom Macaroon, right? Daniel, you also mixed this one up. So
Yes, I did.
in this one, 2% FA almond, 1% FLV cream, 4% honeysuckle PG, 1.5 FLV mango, 2% FA meringue, and 2% cap sugar cookie. Okay, so here, what ID10T did, or Dave, he used FA almond, FA meringue, and cap sugar cookie to create the macaroon. Okay, he said here, a sweet meringue drop cookie made with egg whites, icing sugar, and ground almond. Now, immediately when I read that, I just realized how dumb my palate is. I mean, I can, if I do single flavor testing on almond, meringue, and sugar cookie, yeah, I'll get those notes. But in this mix specifically, excuse me, I'm getting a combination of all of those, and it's a very, very delicate macaroon. So I think also the macaroon, he says there he uses FLV cream to create the icing in the middle. I think the meringue in the middle creates a little bit of a chewiness, or the chewiness sensation of it. Then, of course, this whole thing this whole macaroon is laced with mango and honeysuckle. Now, I've in the past, when I've vaped FLV mango, I get funny pie notes from it, especially if you push it high. But he didn't do it here. 1.5% mango, and but he did nail it with honeysuckle, and therefore I don't think those notes are coming forward, so I'm getting a nice mango. It almost feels like the mango itself is pulled a little bit more forward with the honeysuckle. So it's a nice blend. It's not an overwhelming mango. It's not like this mango is not, if I can call it, a Malaysian mango, which is very in your face. It's more subtle, and it's made to sort of be baked into a macaroon. So I understand why he went with this choice. Okay. I have a sweet tooth, and I do use a lot of super sweet in my recipes. However, with this specific recipe, I'm getting a lot of sweetness. However, I wouldn't be, totally subjective for the fact of adding just a touch of sweetness, a little bit more sweetness to this myself, but that's just a personal preference. What did you find, Daniel?
So I found it actually sweet enough, and I think I'm a 0.5% cap super sweet in almost everything. Where this recipe I found was sweet enough already. Like if I feel like if I had to put it in, they would have ruined it. Like for one, I also like to point out that his combination of 3 flavors to create that almond base is great. Like because I like seeing less is more. Where I think the only macaroon I had to go off was rhodonite, and that the base for that, or just the cookie base for that was like 5 flavors, if I'm looking now. Where I feel like Dave managed to pull it off with just the 3 flavors, and I get the same experience and taste. So it's definitely one of his better mixes.
Yeah. So for me, I was sitting at 4.5 out of 5, for this recipe. I see that the recipe itself has got 19 ratings at about a 4, but I don't agree with that score. I'm a little bit higher than that. I think a 4.5, it sits better with me over there. The mango for me is extremely authentic. And yeah, I thought this was not an easy recipe to pull off. So there's a lot of creativity that went in here, and of course a lot of thought put out in selecting the flavors for this. So that's why I am at a 4.5. I subtracted 0.5 because of the lies that's baked in the description for the mango blossom. He openly admits it though. He says that he's never tasted a mango blossom before, and he doesn't know if it's really edible. He had to Google that, but I get it. I mean, the honeysuckle is what creates that floralness to it, and that's how he baked that lie into the description. Richard, you next, right?
Right. The second one of those that I did was swashbuckle shake. This was a recipe that interested me right from the time that he released it. Unfortunately, I had first rule on the TFA coconut candy, so I couldn't mix it at that time. Even when I got TFA coconut candy, the recipe had kind of slipped out of my attention, so I didn't mix it up for a long time. And I'm regretting that now. I have to give a disclaimer up front, which is that alcohol cocktail recipes are not my thing. If a recipe is a realistic cocktail, the chances are pretty good I'm not going to like it. Now, usually when you give a disclaimer, it's to justify or mitigate incoming criticism. I don't know why I even gave the disclaimer, because I have no criticism of this. This is just terrific. Let's just go over the recipe quickly, and then I can sort of unpack why it's so good. It's 1.5% Flavor West Bavarian cream, 1.75% TFA coconut candy, 2.25% FA Jamaica Special rum, and 6% cap vanilla bean ice cream. Now, right from the get-go, we're looking at 3 flavors there that probably aren't, I won't say best of breed, but they're probably not first resort flavors for this type of thing. Most people are going to pick TFA Bavarian Cream over the Flavor West. Most people are going to pick something like Flavora Sweet Coconut over the TFA Coconut Candy. And most people are going to go for something like TFA Vanilla Bean Ice Cream, or if they get the pepper, they'll go for something like Hanson French Vanilla Ice Cream, or the Liquid Barn Vanilla Ice Cream instead of the Cap. Of those flavors, probably the only one that would be a first resort would be the FA Jamaica Special Rum. Although even that now, with the vape train rums that are coming out, people might prefer one of those. But certainly at the time this recipe came out, the FA was kind of the first resort rum to use. So what Dave has done is he's taken flavors that all have a specific purpose, that he wants to make a shake, but he wants to make it a little bit thinner, not that very rich, sort of dense TFA vanilla bean ice cream sort of feel. So he's used the Cap Vibic and he's used the Bavarian cream because it's a little bit thinner. It's not quite as dense as the TFA. And what it creates is a shake that is thick but is drinkable. It's like a thick drinking shake. It's a very simple profile. It's a coconut milk, rum-infused coconut milk with like a heavy, thick drinking cream element. And everything just hangs together absolutely beautifully. I mean, I'm really annoyed that I didn't make this up sooner, because this is going straight away into my rotation. What is happening is that I'm tasting all four of the different flavors in there, and they're not melding together to make a sort of holistic whole. I'm getting bits of all four. It's like they've been swirled together. So I'm tasting the different elements, but they come together so beautifully balanced. And this is evident in his percentages. I mean, 1.75%, 2.25%. Those aren't the sort of percentages that people start off with. People tend to go, full percent or 0.5% when they start out formulating a recipe. So it's obviously something that he's batched quite a lot and worked to get that balance exactly right. And it does. I mean, the rum, the coconut milk, and the creams are just perfectly blended together. And this just ticks every box that I've got. It's very sweet because you've got four fairly sweet ingredients playing together. There's no need for sweetener or meringue or powdered sugar or anything like that, because these four flavors, particularly I think the TFA coconut candy, add their own sweetness. And this to me is, it's a fat kid vape. It's the type of thing where, you vape it and it's just comfort food. You immediately feel very, very happy when you vape it. It's this thick, drinkable cream, the seamless blend of coconut and rum. And the moment I took this out of the steeping cupboard and started vaping it, I just knew straight away this was going to be a firm favorite of mine. And I don't often get that. I mean, in the past, say, maybe 6 months or so, I've got it from Burgundy's St. Louis Buttercake, Silky's Buttermilk Pie, maybe Joel's French Fellow, and probably Daz Cole's 11's. This would be the fifth in that, where just the moment I drip it from the first drag that I have, I just know that this is a winner all the way. How this only has one rating on ATF, I don't know. I prefer this to Longing. To me, it's certainly something that I'm going to vape more of Longing. I don't think it's necessarily a better mix, but for my palate, it's this is something I'm going to be vaping all the time. It's an absolutely fantastic vape. It's not I wouldn't call it an alcohol cocktail. That Jamaica Special rum is more of a sort of dessert type of rum. It doesn't hit you with that boozy tang that people want. This is kind of like it's almost like a McDonald's dessert that you would get in a cup with a straw with a pile of whipped cream on top of it. It's sweet, it's satisfying, it's moreish. You just keep coming back to it. And I think he hit the spot with this. This is permanently in my rotation, so instant 5 stars. Fantastic recipe, Dave.
I actually like to point out, so that was mixed for the DIY Dye World Mixers competition, the second one. They were limited to 4 flavors. So, I mean, and I think it's good. It also had to be shake and vape for that competition. So it's interesting how he chose these 4 flavors.
You picked the right.
I think that's even a bigger. Yeah, you picked the right flavors. It's a bigger.
He picked the right 4 flavors, and he put them together in a way that's just superbly balanced. So this is top level mixing.
Awesome. So I've got ABDC, which was apple butter doodle cookies, and it's derived off snickerdoodle cookie from Dietz, or that Dietz mixed up. So it sorry, it shares the same 4 ingredients at the same percentages. So he's basically taken that recipe and added apple butter into it. So he's got the cinnamon Danish swirl at 3%, the sugar cookie at 7%, the vanilla custard at 2%. I think there's one that he didn't put in there, and then he's got TFA vanilla bean ice cream at 1%. FA liquid amber at 0.25% and FA Fuji at 1.5%, FA caramel at 0.25%, and cap buttercream. So it's a really good recipe. It reminds me a lot more of I would say like a combination of an apple pie with a really thick like cookie base. I don't get necessarily just a cookie. I get very much like a baked in apple pie flavor into that cookie. It's really good. The cinnamon Danish swirl isn't as prominent, and I think that's to do with all the other flavors that are coming through. Because I know with me with 3% cinnamon Danish swirl, I can usually taste that quite a bit. Where I think the FA Fuji and the liquid amber masks a lot of those flavors. And then, besides that, there wasn't a lot of notes. I think he just mixed it up from the liquid amber that won the mixers competition won. So I think he took the best notes from that recipe and then mixed it with his snickerdoodle cookies. I give this one, I'd say a 4, just off preference, a 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because I can taste the cinnamon. Cinnamon's not my biggest thing. I haven't really found a cinnamon that I enjoy. It's boss in this one, so that's why I can bump it up to 4.5 stars rather than 4 stars. But it's definitely one of those that, like you say, you come into the room and you smell cookies. But now I smell cookies and apple pie, basically.
Okay, so I also did Mother of God's Milk. Now, before I go on with this, I have to mention that I am a little bit, or actually was a little bit of a dragon fruit freak in terms of what I liked. I was vaping a Sucker Punch Sloan for about 6 months straight that had about 14+ % of dragon fruit in it, plus whatever else went in there. I believe Richard mentioned on the forum that there's another mix called Mother of Dragon's Milk that I then mixed up. Now, Mother of Dragon's Milk is also one of his recipes, and it's at 7% dragon fruit. That then became my replacement favorite, which I was mixing until very recently still. The only reason I haven't mixed it up is because I mixed up Mother of God's Milk next. Now, his description here says, if you've ever wondered what Sweet Baby Jesus tasted when he breastfed, this is the recipe for you. A bright, clean dragonberry milk, kind of like a cream saver that doesn't exist, but definitely should. Inspired by God Milk by Skittles Ninja and my own Mother of Dragon's Milk recipes, but better than either of those after a 1-week steep. Now, better than his own Mother of Dragon's Milk is debatable, especially if you are a fan of that recipe as it currently stands. The concentrates he uses here is 2% TFA or TPA Bavarian cream, 4% TPA dragon fruit, 3% TPA strawberry, 2% TPA strawberry ripe, and 3% TPA vanilla swirl. Now, the difference between this and Mother of Dragon's milk isn't very big. He drops the dragon fruit down from 7 to 4%. He increases the vanilla swirl from 2 to 3%. And he adds another strawberry. Originally only had strawberry ripe in, where the new one has strawberry also. It also has normal strawberry. It's not, just TFA strawberry. So for me, what was the amazing part of the original recipe was the dragon fruit. Remember, I went from 14%, and to me that was delicious and amazing. People took a puff of it, people we normally met at the vape meet, and they would look at me like, why would you vape this? It's like, it's delicious. So I went on with it and ignored what everyone else said about my dragon fruit vaping. But then I got Mother of Dragon's milk, and I noticed there was always a funny aftertaste with the Sucker Punch clone, or 14% or higher, whatever the dragon fruit in that was. Then at the same time I learned about Mother of Dragon's milk, I also learned that dragon fruit is an emulsifier, and the chemicals in that does different things to different recipes. But that was the aftertaste I was getting. Obviously, it was super over-flavored, and that aftertaste stuck. Now, with Mother of Dragon's milk, it was perfect. I still got I describe it as a sherbet type of flavor. It's nothing like the real dragon fruit that we have here. The dragon fruit is actually very, very dull. This gave me a sherbet type of flavor, which I enjoyed. Now, with Mother of God's milk, it is still a very, very good strawberry milk, because the dragon fruit is still there. But this time you get a lot more strawberry forward, especially in the first few days. He's recommended steepy 7 days, but who's going to leave it for 7 days if you know it's based off Mother of Dragon's milk, right? So I started vaping it from day 2. And at that point, it was very strawberry milk, almost like a simple strawberry milk type of profile. It was very strawberry forward, with a little bit of the dragon fruit in the back end. I left it for a day or two and started vaping again, where it increased a bit in the milky side, but was still very much notably strawberry. Then finally on day 7, and today is day 8, it's still strawberry, but it's a lot more balanced now. It's like the dragon fruit on day 7 did what it needed to do, and now it's working. My initial thoughts was, because I'm constantly comparing it to Mother of Dragon's milk and looking for that dragon fruit, my opinion was that the dragon fruit's not enough. It's now just a strawberry milk. But after day 7, and I'm assuming later it's going to get better still, the strawberry is a nice full strawberry profile on the inhale. The cream is a lot more, so it's a fuller vape. And then finally, when you exhale and kind of take a breath after that, that's where the dragon fruit is. The dragon fruit is still on that exhale and aftertaste in your mouth, which is good. So as I want to be disappointed about it's more strawberry forward, by the time I exhale, it's dragon fruit. So I'm happy again. So it's a little bit of I'm not sure if this is my new favorite or if Mother of Dragon's milk is still my preferred milk. It's still a very good recipe. Because of that dragon fruit thing going on, my rating is still pending from 4.5 to 5 because of Mother of Dragon's milk. That's it. But it's a good milk. I enjoyed it. If his aim was to go for, because he mentioned here, it's better than God's milk and his Mother of Dragon's milk. If the aim was to bring the strawberry more forward, then definitely this is an improved version of Mother of Dragon's milk. The strawberry is much more prominent and much more balanced with the dragon fruit. With the cream that's increased, the dragon fruit that's dropped, and the strawberry profile that's been amended and added. It works very well.
Hey, Daniel, you mixed up another 1 or 2, right?
I've mixed up. I didn't like so I'm not a dragon fruit fan. Like Deets, I don't like high dragon fruit.
You haters.
Deets, I wanted to say that it took God 7 days to create the earth. You know what I mean? So that's why at day 7 you're getting the taste.
Full creation.
Yeah. It's all there, dude. It's
Got
all
it.
like you need to be super woke to get that. I get.
Oh, super woke. I need to step up my wokeness.
But I prefer strawberry milk. So I think that's why I prefer the Mother of God's milk versus Mothers of Dragon milk. But yeah, it's a good recipe. I mean, I'm still a big God milk fan. Always have been. Unfortunately, it's a really good simple strawberry milk, and I like strawberry milks. But I prefer the toned down dragon fruit with a lot more of the strawberry coming through. So I do think it's a combination of the two.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like I said, if he was going for more strawberry, it definitely is an improved recipe. And like I said, I'm caught between liking the one with the Mother of Dragon's milk with the increased dragon fruit and this one. I mean, the dragon fruit is fully satisfied as you were getting from the original Mother of Dragon's milk. It's not like it's completely gone now. It's just there's more strawberry with it. And if you like strawberry, this is definitely a banger. It's good.
So, is there any more recipes tonight, guys? We done.
Yeah, just something I want to mention that I keep forgetting every time we do a show. Guys, if you find something here that you enjoyed and you mixed it and you loved it, please rate it. The guys for people like me who like to see what other people think about a recipe, it's good to have a rating. And personally, for myself, for me to improve a recipe, there's constructive criticism. So if you like it or you didn't like it, go rate it. That's why there's a rating function on ATF.
Sure. Thanks, Dietz. And thank you very much for joining us in chat and staying with us so that we can talk about these recipes. ID10T, thank you so much for putting out these recipes. Some of the new ones, of course, with some of the latest trend concentrates out there is not always easy to mix up, but surely with a big body of work like you have, we could easily find I think I had about 6 or 7 recipes that I could mix up, which, it doesn't always happen. Some of the mixes I can potentially just mix up, 2, and I have to maybe get another concentrate for a third. So thank you very much for all the work that you do and all the effort that you put into the DIY scene. And I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have also enjoyed our feedback on this. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. But yeah, we'll see you back next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.